Hi, this is Donna with Bookkeeping Made Simple. Today I want to wrap up my series on the business entity types that are available to you. And before I get into the nitty-gritty of that, as always, if you enjoy these videos, please like, share, and subscribe. This is how I grow my channel. I don't advertise it. I try not to shove it down anybody's throats. I don't have any sponsorships. It's just me talking to the camera, basically. But I hopefully I am providing this important information to you in a way that's easy to listen to and that you can enjoy it. Okay. So LLCs, the final chapter. LLC stands for Limited Liability Company, and it combines the protection of a corporation with the flexibility of a sole proprietorship or a general partnership. If you remember from those videos or blog posts, when I talked about corporations are more formal, there's more compliance that has to be done to keep them legally compliant. Sole proprietorships and general partnerships are less formal. They're easy to set up. You basically say, hey, we're in business, and hang out a shingle, get a business license, and you're done. Corporations require quite a bit more formality, and they're just more difficult to manage. They're not obviously not impossible to manage, but there's more that goes into it. Like corporations, LLCs are held to be separate legal entities. In other words, they are legal, they are persons, sort of. They can purchase and hold real estate, personal property. They can own their own bank accounts. They can create transactions. They can enter contracts. They can do all the things that a legal person can do. So from that standpoint, they're just legal entities that can do all these things. Setting up an LLC for your business, I honestly do not like sole proprietorships or general partnerships. I really don't, because they don't have the protections an LLC does. Setting up an LLC for your business can protect your personal assets from any business liability. So for example, you have a client that takes you to court, a customer that takes you to court, and just in this big legal battle. And let's say, worst case scenario, you don't prevail. The judge cannot require you, unless you do something wrong. I'll cover this in a later video. The judge is going to protect your personal assets. So your personal car, your personal home are now protected against any judgment against business. Okay. Your mileage may vary. I'm going to talk about how you can completely destroy that in a later video. And likewise, if you personally are sued, your business is an entirely separate entity. So it may have some protections that you yourself from you. So if you're going through a divorce, you may or may not have to purchase, depending on whether or not your soon-to-be former spouse owns part of the business. That business may be protected. Okay? Likewise, if someone slips and falls in your home, they can't sue your business. They can only sue you. So it's really, really protecting to have those as completely separate entities. And I'm going to talk about this in a later video, because this is just, I've talked about it before. I'm going to talk about it again. Y'all are not going to, if you think you are going to get enough of me talking about piercing the corporate veil, which is what happens when you lose your corporate protections, you have not heard the last of it, I promise. Anyhow, getting back to it. Their own LLCs are not owned by shareholders, they're owned by members. Much like a partnership, The percentages of the business that's owned by each member is agreed upon in the articles of organization. These shares, this portion of the business can be bought, sold, traded, inherited. There are ways to do that. It's not as easy as with a corporation where you have shares of stock that allow you to do that, but it is possible with an LLC. Members can be individuals, trusts, partnerships, corporations. They can be foreign entities or individuals. There is no limit on the number of members an LLC can have. There are also fewer compliance requirements. So like I was saying earlier, you don't have to have a board of directors in an LLC. You can, but you don't have to. It's not required. Most LLCs, at least the ones that I deal with, are managed by their members. In other words, the owner, the person that set up the business and started it, possibly with a partner or two, is the one that's up to their elbows in the day-to-day operations of the business. However, if it's a big LLC, by way of example, Saturn Cars was an LLC that was owned by General Motors, and it was run very similar to a corporation. They had a board of directors, they had a management team in place that was elected by the members of the LLC. So you can have a member managed LLC, which would be like mine, where I am the sole owner, and I am the only member, and I manage all of the day-to-day stuff of the business. Or it can be a management team. I could turn around and hire a CEO, a CFO, a CIO, a CTO, whatever I needed, to run the business for me. Okay, both of those options are available. So I can treat it like a sole proprietorship, or I can treat it like a corporation. If it's manager managed, it looks more like a corporation. If it's member managed, it looks more like a sole proprietorship or a general partnership. They are pass-through entities. So a single member LLC is going to show up on the tax return on Schedule C of the 1040. There's nothing special about it. They're still able to take all of the deductions that any other business can take. So we can take depreciation, we can do carry forwards and carry backs and credit. All the credits and everything that's available are still available. It's a pass-through entity, so the organization itself does not pay taxes like a C Corp does. It's just passed through to the members. If there's more than one member involved in the LLC, then a partnership return has to be filed, such as a 1065, and we have to know what percentage of the business each member owns, so that we can then figure out what percentage of the net income each member claims. And that's reported on what's called a K1. And then when that income passes through to the members, then they have to pay any tax that's applicable on that income. One of the things that really hits a lot of people, and I will cover this more in depth later, is the self-employment tax. I want to talk later about what that is and why it affects you, but that is the biggest hit most of my clients get if they're a single member or small partnership LLC. The only downside to this is that there's two. Okay. One is they're often set up by people who have never owned a business before. So they don't know how to separate their personal finance from their business finance. And we can help you with that. It has the potential to pierce the corporate veil. And I'm going to go into that much more in depth in a later video, because this is something I see a lot. Also, the other real drawback is it's more complicated and expensive to set up. It's not really more complicated, it's a little bit more expensive. So here in Utah, where I live, It costs like $20 to register a sole proprietorship with the state of Utah, and the cost of the city license, if that applies. But to set up an LLC is $70. And honestly, I don't think that's any big deal for the benefits that you reap, okay? You do have to file what's called articles of organization with the state. Again, not a big deal. In Utah, we can just go online and organize it that way. If you want to talk to a business attorney, which I am not, about whether or not an LLC is the best entity formation for you, for your business, please give us a call. We do have a couple of business attorneys that we work with. I'd like to only work with the best. So if I'm referring them, they're really good. And that will help you. There is no one size fits all. An LLC, I think, is fantastic, but it may not be the best fit for your business. There's other entity things. I mean, we can take an LLC and wrap it in an S Corp and top it with a C Corp. There's a lot of ways to organize businesses. There's also specialized business entities, which I have not covered in this series because it generally doesn't apply. But it's always a good idea to at least pay for a consultation with the business attorney. And if you're interested in that, please let me know. I have a couple that I would be happy to refer, because it's always a challenge. It's a challenge to find a good bookkeeper. It's a challenge to find a good accountant. And it's a challenge to find a good business attorney. And I have a couple in my back pocket. With that, I'm going to let you guys go. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. And I look forward to talking to you soon.